Welcome to the Manager Matt podcast show. The show is designed to give you solutions to your day-to-day management and leadership problems. It's hosted by Matthew Haddock, a frontline manager and leader with over 25 years of experience. If you're ready, then let's get on with the show.
Welcome to the Manager Matt podcast show. I do hope you are well and delivering results through your team. Yes, your team is key to making those results happen, but you are the leader and the manager, so you still make sure that you do your part with that team. This week's show, we're going to look at firefighting. Now, I'm not meaning actual firefighting, because there is times in your life where you might have to put a fire out, but actually most of the time we don't, unless you are a firefighter listening to this programme. And if you are, thank you for all the work you do. No, what I want to talk about is how do you change a culture of a team from being a firefighters to being fire prevention? Now, what do I mean by that? There's a lot of great teams that I've worked with in businesses, which are great at getting things done. And of course, the first thing I always say in this podcast is about delivering results. So that's a good thing. They're great problem solvers. When it hits the fan, they take action. They drive forward. They solve the problems. They get themselves to a point of fixing it. They can pivot and get orders out the door when it seems completely lost. And all these attributes are brilliant in a team. Because in an emergency situation, you want people around you who can deal with the emergency. They can get the things done. They rally around a cause. We all need that. They're firefighters at their best. We need people like this. They need to be ready. They need to be engaged. They've got to get the product out the door. They've got to deliver the service when they want it. Those are the people that you can rely on a Friday afternoon or at 5 o'clock to get their sleeves rolled up, dig in and go through whatever it is to get it out the door. Now the problem comes when everything and every day and every process is a firefight. This is an issue. If every day you're under the cosh if you like, and everyone's jumping through hoops to get the things done, and all you see is emergencies and going into fighting the problem, it's an issue. It's exhausting. It's exhausting for people. People get used to it. You're right, they do, but they get to a point where it leads to short-term thinking because all they're doing is moving from one emergency to the next. It's exhausting because you can't catch your breath. You can't think. It's exhausting because you're catching the penny, but you're missing the pound. And you as a leader need to shift the firefighting constant model to a fire prevention model. And that means you have to be able to move your team's mentality and mindset, shift them to a case of trying to fix it first. Now, I've worked with businesses who can get stuff done, but it's right on the edge. It relies on every person putting in those long hours, working to their max, pulling in favours and doing a lot of the stuff themselves. And what you will find is that people drop down levels. So if you've got a great operations manager, for instance, he'll be working at a production manager's level. If you've got good production managers, they become line supervisors, and the line supervisors become the doers. Everyone's moving it down because it's quicker to do it themselves. How many times have you heard that as a manager? Why haven't you delegated it? Oh, it's quicker for me to do it. Well, why don't you give it to somebody else to do? Oh, by the time I've showed them, I can do it myself. So how do we move away from being reactive to being proactive? Well, the first thing you need to do is look at your priorities. What needs to be done? So what is the right stuff that you need to get done at the right time? And you need to ask that question because you can't come back with everything is important. And I've heard this a lot. When I've gone into a business as a consultant, I've asked them, well, what is your biggest issue in this area? Everything, they'll say. Everything's an issue. Everything's a problem. Okay, what's your priority? All of them. They're all important. Everything's priority. Right, I always say to them, stop there. If everything is important, then nothing is important. Let that sink in. If you have everything as a priority red, then everything is the same importance. That means everything's not important. You're going the other way. So first thing you need to do is prioritise what is your real important and urgent thing. That could be the safety of the people. And of course, safety comes first in most businesses, and we know that's important. It could be the product safety, making sure it's the right product, so it doesn't injure anyone. You've got to make sure that the service is there. Maybe it's a service-driven business. Maybe it's about the costs, making sure the working capital. You've got to decide where is the important parts that you need to deal with. Because from there, you can then put in the prioritisation of those important things. And as they say, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So you need to then prioritise those things into chunks of what you can get done in a certain amount of time. Something will always be important. There'll always be something that will crop up. And you still don't want to lock people into not being able to fight the fires because they might still be there. But you need to ask yourself some simple questions when you look at your priorities stage. Where is the business now? What does it do well? What does it not do so well? And where are the issues? So where are the issues in that business? And then you've got to think and ask, where are we going? What does that business need to do to get to that? Because, of course, that helps you set your priorities. And, of course, the bit in the middle between knowing where you are and where you want to be is the action. Secondly, you need to look at how you can standardise your processes. Non-standard means things go out of control very quickly. And of course, without standards and processes, you're going to be firefighting. And you're going to have your superheroes who are going to come in and save the day because they've been doing it for years. But you need to have standards. Now, it's less important for standards when you're a small business with a lot less complication. But the bigger you get, the more it becomes more process driven. And the number of businesses I've worked with who don't have processes because they've always done it a certain way and they've always got away with it, but they've got bigger, they've got more complexity, and guess what? Without process and procedure, it relies on one or two people who have got to carry the can and become the firefighters. Take a manufacturer. If you want it to repeat making the thing day in, day out, you need to make sure you've got a procedure in there. Point 3, you got to look at your people. Your people have become so used to firefighting, that's all they know. They get a bit of a buzz off it. There's adrenaline when you're fighting the fire. You can get them things done. You usually get a pat on the back. You'll have been sitting there and looking at who do we reward this week for being the star of the month, for instance. Oh, so-and-so, he made sure that product went out the door every day by staying back late and working twice as hard and making sure it gets done, and you'll go, oh, well done. But when you step back, you're actually letting people know that it's acceptable to firefight. So you've got to look at what your culture is going to look like. How are you going to make sure that the procedures come in place, you work towards prioritisation to deliver the results. Now, you can carry on firefighting. As I said, it's exhausting and it becomes very difficult, but you'll never grow. You'll always stay the same. You'll always be chasing the order or the service level or whatever you're measured on, the KPI, because you're never going to get out of that spiral. Every day you're chasing, every day you're going from one to the next to the next. Your days fly by as a person working there. It feels like 2 minutes. The 12-hour days just become the norm. It's not good for you. You can never grow your business. You will never become as successful as you want if you don't step back, start looking how you move from firefighting to fire prevention. And how do you do that? As I've said, prioritise the important stuff. Know where your business is, know where it's going. Look at how you standardise the process and deal with the culture that's allowing firefighting to become the norm. Well, the norm at this time of the show is to ask for feedback. And to be honest, I'm not getting a lot at the minute. So I'd really love you to email to managermattpodcast@gmail.com. I do answer every email. And if you send me any questions, I'd love to answer them. I'd love to get you on the show if you want to come and chat about your problems. Or just generally let me know what's going well for you. Obviously, feedback is such a gift. So let's just keep on giving. Right, well that's it for Manager Matt this week. Thank you so much for listening and goodbye.
Thank Thank you so much for listening to this Manager Matt podcast. We hope you found it interesting, helpful and actionable. One last thing, please leave a quick review on iTunes or with your podcast provider, as it helps to spread the word of Manager Matt. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe to the podcast, and if you did like anything in particular, send an email to managermattpodcast@gmail.com or visit managermatt.co.uk for more content. Feedback is a gift, so let's keep giving. See you next week.